Hello and welcome to the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. I'm Jenny Robertson, host of the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, where I talk with real women who are living their lives on purpose and bringing their unique gifts to the planet. I'm also the founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine and founder of the On Purpose Woman global community. Today, I'm talking with the architect of joy, Lori Piper, about how to say no and get off the burnout bus. Lori is a sought-after author and the visionary founder of Journey to Inner Joy. With her unique healing wisdom, she empowers overwhelmed women to set crucial boundaries, supporting their mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. Lori guides women to break free from exhaustion, igniting a path to vibrant, joyful living. You can find out more about Lori and her services at journeytoinnerjoy.com. Welcome, Lori. Thanks for being with me.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jenny. I always love having these conversations with you.
I enjoy them with you as well. And I especially love this title, I've never heard the burnout bus before, but wow, I think any woman who reads that title knows exactly what you mean, right?
Yes, and that I can't take credit for that. I was working with a wonderful marketing lady, and she came up with it. She's like, "What about the burnout bus?" I was like, "Love it."
Well, you can take credit because you were smart enough to hire her to help you, right? So there.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Well, Lori, first, what inspired you to start working with women and helping them learn to say no?
Um, well, I guess the main reason was two of my friends that I've known, both are on disability because they did not know how to say no at work or at home, and they ran themselves into the ground. And
Mm.
both of them have chronic diseases or are recovering from cancer, and it's it breaks my heart because these are beautiful, loving women who have so much to give to this world. And because they didn't take time for themselves, they have a hard time giving to the world. They can't be their vibrant selves.
Yeah, yeah.
And it does, it really breaks my heart.
Mm. I hear that. That's really personal to you. And I've heard over the years that marketing people who know more about this than I do have said, if you want to know who your ideal client is, look in the mirror. So, I saw on your Facebook page when you were promoting our talk today, you mentioned why you decided to choose September the 11th to do it. And I didn't know that story. I've had a number of conversations, but I didn't know that story. Would you share that with us?
Yes. So at the time, I was working for a company that was headquartered in New York, and our offices were near Madison Square Gardens. And I was in New York for work the week of 9/11.
Mm.
And there are no large buildings in between our offices at the time and the World Trade Center. And we could, from our south windows, we saw it all.
Mm.
We watched it. Um, I'm going to get emotional. I'm sorry.
Okay, I understand.
and, but it was a wake-up call to me. What am I doing with my life? I remember as a young child wanting to be a social worker because I wanted to serve. I wanted to help people. And and here I am in corporate America, and I loved my job. I traveled a lot. I made good money. But at that point, I felt so empty.
Mm.
Like, who am I really helping? And I did a lot of reflection, and it's like, well, I I don't have any skills like social work skills. I'm too old to join the Peace Corps or the military, and to help in that manner. A friend of mine did say, but Lori, you really help your clients. And that made me feel really good because I did help my clients. I was the liaison between my clients and the software that they purchased and I installed, and the sales reps. So I could help what interpret. I was like the negotiator, interpreter between the two. So I did help them a lot. But I was traveling like crazy. And when I got home, um, I I was exhausted. I had no time for friends, for family. Um, my one saving grace was working in the yard, and I loved working in the yard because I could see results, immediate results, where I wasn't seeing that in work. But still, the whole time, and being out in nature is uh, so healing.
Yeah.
But the whole time, I'm thinking I'm meant for more. And so I started, I've been a big fan of Deepak Chopra and his wisdom since the 90s. Yes, that's how old I am. And and so I started getting my certifications in yoga. So I'm a certified yoga instructor. I got certified as a meditation instructor. I've been to at least five Deepak Chopra seminars. I'm a certified Ayurvedic instructor. So I've been accumulating all these things to keep me sane.
Mm.
And it's amazing how people in my office, my family, my friends all noticed. They're like, Lori, wow, you seem so much happier.
Mm.
And I was happier, even though my stress levels, I mean, I was still doing the same job, probably even more, but I learned to say no. And I learned to say more yes to me and take time to care for me. And that made a world of difference, not only to me, but everyone around me.
Yeah. And to be a model like that for other women, to let them know that it's okay,
Yes.
because those aren't the messages that I know I didn't receive those messages growing up. I saw, and I can't say that my mother really burned out or did because she had a lot of help with her world.
Mm.
But yet I saw that she was mostly stressed by trying to keep up with everything going on out in the world and trying to always look good, and always the family had to look good, and we had to present a certain image to everybody. And it was, don't you ever embarrass the family. That was like the key. You probably heard that too, right? And so there was a lot of pressure on women because women were responsible for what their kids did, what their husband did. It seems like it all fell on women. And it's still there to a large extent, isn't it? Because
It,
I think women my age now, I raised a son, so I raised him to not see women in that light, and he's very much his own man and very much a great partner to his wife. And now they have their baby, and then just watching him, just step in and do all those things. It just seems so normal for him, but I'm hoping, I'm saying all that because I'm hoping that generationally this will eventually just burn out. This whole
yes.
desire. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I agree. And I hear you. I got the what will the neighbors think all the time. And
Oh, that was a favorite one. Yeah.
yeah, and it still sticks with me. I mean, it holds me back in a lot of ways, especially in business. So what will the neighbors think? Because, you're putting yourself out there, Lori, be seen, not heard. And, so the whole way that we were raised as women, um, yeah, it takes a lot to get over those. And I found in my coaching, the ladies I coach, every one of them came to me with a different reason, something they wanted to work on. And it was probably just 6 months ago that I realized, wow, every one of them, the underlying issue was not being able to say no.
Wow.
They felt obligated. They felt obligated to say yes.
Hmm.
And, I remember growing up, my mom, we had a neighbor who had some special needs. She was married with two kids. Her husband was never home. And so she would call my mom for help. And my mom's happy to help her, but she wasn't. She would say yes on the phone, and then she would grumble. Why doesn't her husband stay home and take the care?
So
So
even
there
more
was
stress that is added to that, right?
Right, right, exactly. So we do these things, we say yes, even though we're thinking, why are we doing this? I don't really want to do this. And we were never taught to listen to ourselves for our truth,
Mm-hmm.
for our North Star. We're conditioned to behave in a certain way, to react in a certain way. And that conditioning is in our heads. And our brains, I want to just talk a little bit about our brains are meant to keep you safe. They will keep you fearful. They will keep you stuck. So if you want truth, you want to ask your heart, your soul, your body. And at some point, I would like to go through an exercise, but I'd like, we can have more of a conversation. Um, but our brains are going to tell us all the reasons, all those reasons as we were growing up, why we should not do X, Y, Z, and why we should do A, B, C.
And places new meaning on it too, doesn't it? It's like
Yes.
it just blows up kind of in a way. I think, I made up this word a number of years ago. I'm probably not the only person to make up this word, but I call it awfulizing.
Oh, I've never heard that. I like
Well, good.
that.
Maybe I did make it up then, where, our ego's in there somewhere too, playing its role, but that we just can catastrophize, what might happen if we don't, if we say no, this will happen. We'll make up all these stories about it because in the back somewhere, there's truth to some of that, right? It has happened that we've gotten in
Right.
trouble or we've gotten ostracized or disliked or whatever. So, how do we start to shift that? How do we start? Is the first place to start with our brain?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
Uh, no, absolutely. But I guess to understand the brain, understand what it's doing for us. I'm not saying that the brain is bad for us because if you're about to walk out in front of a bus, you want that autonomic nervous system to tell you to get the heck out of the way.
Right.
So it's very important. But now I don't know who counted thoughts, okay?
I know.
But
I've always wondered that myself when I've read those studies.
yeah, so studies show that we have 80 to 90,000 thoughts a day. Of those, 80 to 90% are negative. The thoughts we had yesterday are the thoughts we're going to have today, and the thoughts we have today are the thoughts we're going to have tomorrow. And Deepak Chopra was the first one I heard this from, but I've heard it from other wisdom leaders that if you want to know what you were thinking today, 5 years ago, look at who you are today. If you want to know who you're going to be in 5 years, look at what you're thinking today. We are our thoughts, but we're more than that. And our truth is in our soul, in our hearts, and in our body. And our body will respond appropriately for our purpose in this lifetime, not what we've been trained to do. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. You're talking to the preaching to the choir here, as they say, because I've been a fan of Deepak Chopra, but a bigger fan of Wayne Dyer, who was a contemporary of Deepak Chopra. And
Yes.
Wayne has I think the first book of his I read, Your Erroneous Zones, back in the 70s. Is when
Um,
the kind of the shutter opened a little bit and some light got in, and I'm going, oh, and it was very mainstream back then. He didn't talk about soul, or it was very corporate kind of driven, but it was what we
yes.
all needed, I think, to put our toe in the water to start to go, we don't have to do life quite like this anymore. And
Right.
I love what you're saying.
Right. Right.
So
I love
say
Wayne
more,
Dyer too.
say more about like how would a woman begin to make a change?
Well, you want to go through a little exercise?
I can, yes, we have time.
Okay. So this is called, well, I just say listen to your body. And you hear that a lot.
Mhm.
People say listen to your body. About a year ago, I was doing a 5-minute speech about listening to your body. And luckily one of the ladies in the audience said, I don't know how to listen to my body. What do you mean by listen to your body? And I thought, well, how would you not know? But most of us are not in tune
Right.
to the body. So I have a little exercise. And so what you want to do is we're going to use food because everybody knows whether or not they like something, a food, right? So I'm going to take you through an exercise. What I'd like you to do is think of a food that is really, really good for you and you really, really like. Now, for me, right now, I have peaches in the refrigerator that are peak yumminess.
Mm.
So I'm going to use peaches for mine. And you don't have to tell me yours, just have one in mind. And
Okay.
anybody who's watching, write it down, have it in mind. Now I want you to think of a food that's really good for you, but you just hate it. So for me, that would be liver. That's my reaction too, Jenny.
It doesn't even come into my brain now anymore.
My mom used to love it. She used to cook it all the time, but nobody would eat it but her. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes, take a couple deep breaths. And when you take these deep breaths, make sure you're expanding your belly. When you expand your belly, you're getting yourself into rest and restore. You're telling your autonomic nervous system that you are safe and you're getting into rest and restore. Why is this important? It's important because when you are in fight flight mode, you are in reactionary mode. I like to say stress makes you stupid. So make sure you get into rest and restore by taking a couple deep inhales, expanding those bellies. And when you exhale, if it feels good, exhale with a sigh, a grunt, or even a scream. There are times I exhale with the scream. So that just helps get that negative energy out of the way. It helps to put your hand on your body, your hands, anywhere that feels good to you. I usually put one on my belly and one on my heart. But wherever, whatever feels good to you, putting your hands on your body, bring your awareness, help you better bring your awareness to your body. With your eyes closed and paying attention to your body, ask yourself, do I want to eat and insert that food that you really like? So I would ask, do I want to eat peaches? Scan your body. Notice any little response and ask the question multiple times. Any little response, a twinge in your toe, it doesn't matter. Just take note. And now, keeping your eyes closed and keeping your attention on your body, ask yourself, do I want to eat and insert that food you really don't like? So for me, that would be, do I want to eat liver? And again, scan your body, take note of any response whatsoever, anything, and ask the question multiple times. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And usually when I do this, there are more people and I can get response. But so Jenny, did you get any response to either one of those, any bodily responses to any of those?
I sure did. And, when I hadn't decided on my food yet, when you said peaches,
Oh,
and instantly I started to salivate a little bit because I do love peaches this time of year. So when I thought peaches, do I want to eat peaches? Then again, my salivary gland started acting up. I felt like my energy went up a little bit more. And when I ask about, and I also used liver because that's the thing. When you said it, I just had such a reaction to it.
mhm.
When I asked that, it was interesting. It felt like my chest got tight and I started to like not breathe as deeply as I was, like my shallow breathing, like almost like my body saying, no, stay away from that danger, danger. So it's really quite amazing, I think, when yeah.
Yes, your body knows. We don't give our bodies enough. We criticize our bodies. Oh, you're too fat, you're not in shape, you're blah blah blah. I mean, we're always criticizing our bodies, but they are so smart and know us way better than we do. And the more we can tap into that. So a yes, when you do these exercises, a yes does have usually some expansion or something you feel good, maybe happy butterflies. Do I want to take that Alaskan cruise? Yeah. Uh, and when it's something that you don't like, it's like you said, that contraction or something
Energy
like,
dropped really. I mean, energy just went,
right,
yeah.
right. And for those of you watching this live, if you're not feeling anything, it's okay, but practice this. The more you practice um, tuning into your body, the more your body's going to respond appropriately. And it will tell you what is right for you, for your greatest and best good, not what society expects of you.
Yeah. And Lori, I love when you mentioned you were doing this talk and this woman said, I don't know how to listen to my body, because I think it's easy for some of us, I've been reading this stuff for decades now, to just take that for granted. And unless somebody has been exposed to it or has heard it in some form, and you need to hear it more than once to actually even understand it. And I think we do them a disservice when we don't take that into consideration, that we're talking to an audience of people about anything, and don't make assumptions that everybody's on the same page, because they're not. I remember years ago, I mentioned, I don't, I'm not a Reiki teacher. In fact, I don't do any holistic practices with my work, but I use them for myself a lot. But I just mentioned it as a possible modality for someone. And I went, oh, yeah, Reiki. And then there was a discussion about, oh, yeah, I love Reiki. And this woman raised her hand and she looked kind of sheepish. It was a small workshop I was doing. She goes, am I the only one who doesn't know what that is? And she felt a little shamed by it. And that really taught me that start with, for those of you who don't know, or for anyone who's not familiar with this concept, this is what it is, rather than just throw it out there. And we can do that in so many different ways. It doesn't have to be anything that's even not mainstream, because a lot of that stuff's so mainstream now, and it wasn't 30, 40 years ago. But I think
Right.
it's just a great reminder. So thank you for bringing that up as well.
Yeah. 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 You mentioned Reiki, and that's another one of my
I thought so,
um,
yeah.
certifications. Yeah. And I love it. I would say the number one thing that has changed my life is my meditation practice.
Okay.
Getting into, and that also helps you to get into your body, your heart, your soul. When we're in that place of quiet, of peace, that is when truth is found. That's where you find your truth. And the more you can be in that place. Now, I say meditation, some people say mindfulness, but being in a place of silence, uninterrupted, really helps you to get in touch with your soul, your true self. And I'm telling you, it will change your world. And you know what? It will change other people's worlds too. I had a husband of a client come up to me and thank me.
Mm.
Said, I don't know what you did, Lori, but my wife is so much happier.
Oh,
You know what she did? She set boundaries. She set appropriate boundaries both at work and at home. So he's doing more work.
and yet he's recognizing that she's happier, which is so wonderful, because it doesn't
Yes.
always, women also don't always get the support they need when they want to make those changes. And so that's why
Right.
they need to get stronger within themselves so they can create those boundaries, correct?
Yes. And start small.
Yeah,
Just start with
yeah.
one small thing. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I had a thought when you were talking about your meditation, and that I wanted to say next, ask next. What is it? If it doesn't come to me in a few seconds, I will go on. Uh, oh, I know. The exercise you took me through, it just hit me that, and it was probably the point you were making, but maybe I missed it, that this is something you can do when you're deciding what you want to say yes or no to. Do I want to be on the PTA board?
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's a
Abs-
great place to start, I think, to start to, maybe start small with your body, right? Ask sort of smaller questions that require, that aren't really that important a decision right now. Like, do you want to have sugar? If you're cutting back on your sugar intake, do I really want to have, do I want that? Is that the best thing for me right now? And your body will
Right.
tell you.
Right.
I
And
remember,
that's
go
also
ahead.
a good point. Ask yes, no questions.
Hmm.
Ask yes, no question. Don't ask, where should I go on my vacation this fall.
Yeah.
Yes or no questions. Could you either get a yes expansion and feeling better, or a no?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, your body will know. And if you're not feeling anything, keep using food or something, the true yes or true no, to tap in and start getting to know what's a true yes and true no for you.
Wow, I love this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And before we move on, I want to have our viewers learn a little bit more about you, but I do want to take a little aside here. You mentioned you were too old for the Peace Corps back then. You know, they have a senior Peace Corps now because
Do they really?
I have a friend who went and spent a number of years. I think she was in Costa Rica, I believe. I'm not really sure now. No, I'm not sure where she was. She was a friend, but not a real close friend. So I wasn't keeping tabs on her so much. But yeah, I think she was in her 60s when she started to go. So it's a
Right.
really, if you ever feel the urge, like to
Yeah.
go back, but that's pretty cool though, isn't it? That they're recognizing the value of older
Yes.
people in that environment. So,
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
so Lori, how can our viewers learn more about you? We gave them your website, which is journeytoinnerjoy.com. And what might they find there?
Well, all of my offerings with regard to meditation training, Ayurveda training, coaching. Coaching is my big thing. I incorporate East and West, so the woo-woo of the East and the wow of modern Western science that is proving all this wisdom from thousands of years ago, how true it is and how relevant it still is today. Ayurveda, for instance, treats everyone as an individual. You're not just, oh, you have this symptom, take this pill.
Mhm.
It looks at the whole body and mind before making recommendations. So it's fascinating. Yes, I would love to. I've got a program that I'm probably going to start up in February called The Amazing You.
Mm.
That was the husband of the wife. The wife had taken the beta course, and that's where her husband said, "I don't know what you did, but thank you."
Okay. So you know it
And
works. You know it
yes,
works. Yeah.
yes. And if you are looking for a retreat, oh my gosh, I and four other authors and healers are hosting a retreat at the wonderful Kripalu Retreat Center in Massachusetts. And it's called the Energy Medicine Solution Retreat. All five of us have different modalities. You are going to learn so much. You're going to be so nurtured. It's a small, intimate group of people. We're keeping it small. So it's not going to be like you're going to get lost in thousands of people. And it's amazing. If you want to learn more, please reach out to me. There is a contact me on my website. If you want to chat about any of this stuff, I would love to see any of and all of you at the retreat.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lori. And before we wrap up here, would you give us a final thought? It may be something you've already said, something you want to leave us with to really get women inspired to start to say no and get off that burnout bus or get off the bus. Don't even get on the burnout bus, right? They don't even have to get on if they start doing some of these things now.
Right, right. Yeah, the biggest thing is you're allowed to say no. And when you take care of yourself, you are taking care of others. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're no use to anybody. You
Yeah.
get burnt out and you get cranky. And let me tell you, I know you get burnt out, you get cranky, and that's you can't help people when you're in that mode. You can only help people and serve those you love by loving yourself and saying yes to you.
So true. So true. And you can't say that too many times. So, Lori, thank you so much for being with us today, sharing your wisdom. I love the exercise. It was a great reminder that, I do something similar, but I don't always think about it. I think we have all these tools in our toolbox and I can be in like misery for a day or two and then go, wait a minute, I know how to do this. I know what to do. I know
Right.
how to be with this. So thank you. And please, anyone watching this, if you felt anything today that resonated with you that said, "Oh, yeah, I'm either heading there or I've been there too long, and I really want to start to make some shifts, not just for my well-being, but for the well-being of my family, my friends, my community, all of that," then reach out to Lori. She has these lovely conversations she will have with you. No pressure, no sales pitch. I know you put that in your
Right.
article articles when you write for the magazine, and just reach out and see if it might be a fit for you to do something with Lori. So I want to thank anyone watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. Check out our YouTube channel for informative interviews like this one. There are also videos where I chat with the contributing writers for On Purpose Woman magazine about their articles, and you can find Lori on a number of those if you want to hear more of her wisdom. And also we record the speakers of our On Purpose Woman Global Community Zoom gatherings. You can take advantage of their expertise as well. And speaking of that, Lori is actually speaking for us at a meeting this Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Zoom. It is free. The link is in the text of this video, and she will be talking about, let's see, is it how to
create your own luck. And
create
it's
your
Friday
own
the
luck.
13th. It's Friday the
Yes.
13th.
Yeah. These dates just worked out so well for
I
you,
know.
September the 11th and Friday the 13th. So thank you. And thanks again, everyone, for watching.
And Ginny, thank you too for everything you do. I mean, everything you do. I don't know how you do it all, but thank you. You are a blessing
Well,
to this world.
I appreciate that. I love it. That's probably how I do it all. So thank you.